All right. Hey, guys. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. This is great to be here together studying Kabbalah. I'm going to call this our super Kabbalah class. Just saying, it's a super weekend, super duper. And we have a lot to talk about today as we look at soul mission. That is today's title, soul mission, a soul's mission, the soul's mission. But I just decided to take out all the other extra words and call it soul mission. And the question that the Kabbalists ask again and again is, why did the soul come down to this earth? The simple answer is because God sent it down. But then, of course, the question becomes, why did God send the soul down to this plane of existence? And the question is predicated, as I wrote in the email, I think, on the fact that Kabbalah explains that the soul is a chelek Eloka mimal mamash, that the soul is literally a piece of God above. The soul originates within the divine and then is hewn. It's almost like separated out, as it were. Obviously, this is not to be taken literally, but the soul then is separated out and then sent below and placed inside a body. And the mystics ask the question, why? Why? It's a tremendous descent. Now, we've talked about this question many times, and we've given many different answers. Today, we're going to give one answer. This is not, by no means is this the only answer, but this is the answer that we're going to focus on today. And there's a tune, an old Hasidic tune that goes like this. Aneshama yayeredes lisoy chaguf ach tzoyekes vay vay ach tzoyekes vay vay yiridazu litzoyrech aliyah v'asher kol zehu kedai Yiridazu litzayrech aliyah v'asher kol zehu kedai. And that translates to, the neshama descends into a body, but it cries out, oy vey, this is not good. This is vai. How do you translate vai in English?
Vai.
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 Not why, but oy, ouch. I don't want to be here. But then we tell the soul, or the soul figures out at some point, Yiridazu l'tzorech aliyah. This descent is for a greater ascent. In other words, you know the expression, what goes up must come down? This is the opposite. What goes down must come up. Right? The descent is intended for a greater ascent. And sometimes the only way you can reach the greater ascent is through a descent. Many different examples of this. But one example, the example that's brought here in our text, is the example of a river. Imagine you have a river, and the river is flowing at its current rate. See what I did there?
I noticed it.
Thank you very much.
That was very funny.
So the river is flowing as it does. And then you put obstructions in the river. You put stones, you put twigs, you put other elements that block the flow of the water or that impede the flow of the water. What happens? The pressure of the water builds, right? As you're holding it back, the pressure of the water builds. And it creates a greater energy until such point that the water breaks through the obstruction. And what happens? What happens is now not only do you have the water flowing at a greater rate of speed, you also have the rocks and the twigs and other branches. You have all of the other stuff also rushing down, carried by this forceful water. You turned a very calm, flowing river into a very forceful flowing river. And how did you accomplish that? By putting an impediment in its way. Sometimes it's by the opposite force that the greater energy is unleashed. Sometimes it's by the impediment to progress that the greater energy is opened up. And the same thing is true vis-a-vis the soul. It's by the soul descending to a dark and cold place, i.e. our world, our reality, that the soul is elevated far beyond its previous stature. Now, in many classes, I have to mention this. This is the massive disclaimer. There's a huge asterisk, as you see, floating in the air. And the asterisk is the following. This is not to suggest that that is the sole reason why the soul comes down below. It's not the only reason. In many places in Kabbalah, it says that the soul comes down not for itself, not for its own gain, but rather for its purpose, which is to make the world a more refined place. Today, though, we're going to talk about maybe collateral benefit. Collateral damage, this would be the opposite. In the context of it, fighting the good fight, fulfilling God's purpose of creation, transforming the darkness of the world into a home for God, in the course of that activity, it also personally rises. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the gain that comes through the pain of the soul's descent below. What does that look like? And how exactly can we understand the aliyah, the ascent that is born of the descent, of being born? So here we go. There are many different ways to explain this. I'm going to attempt probably the most complex way. And if it works, great.
That's super.
If not, they say, they say, go out the hero, or what is it? It's whatever. Anyway, we'll give it a shot. So here we have it. Go big or go home.
She saved you.
Thank you.
Saved you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the lifelines. All right. So here we go. You guys ready? R and etzem. We have to introduce this or reintroduce these terms. R means light, etzem means essence, and these are two different realities in Kabbalah. And we're not talking about a specific, thing, a specific, light, a physical light, or an essence like a lemon essence or an estrog essence. Funny story. I once had a guy who emailed me out of the blue, American guy who lives in Israel. He says, I found your classes online. I love them. And I want to send you a gift. Okay. And he writes in the email, I want to send you, he makes this product called beard balm. It's like a beard thing. Balm. I don't know what.
Balm. B-A-L-M.
Correct. Yeah, not a bomb.
No,
that would be
a beard balm.
That would be explosive, right? So beard balm. So okay, what do you do with a beard balm? I don't know. So he tells me, he maybe watched it, I don't know, on YouTube. Hey, so so I said, sure. So then he emails me back. This is like one email back and forth. Then he's like, which flavor do you want? Like scent.
Sandalwood.
What are the options? He's like, well, my favorite is the estrog flavored. I said, sure. It's sitting in my drawer, I will say. And I think I tried it once.
You could use a little balm.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the vote of confidence. You look like a guy who needs a little beard balm. All right, fine. So it's like, so essence, sometimes the essence is like a flavor essence. This is not a flavor essence. Exactly, David. Different balm. So here we go. So light and essence is different in many different ways. So first of all, let's just define the terms a little bit. And, when you speak about spiritual phenomena, it's very hard because you have to use language, and language was constructed around physical things, right? All of language is constructed around physical phenomena. And now we're trying to use language constructed around physical phenomena to explain spiritual phenomena. So good luck. So the only way this is to be done, and this is why traditional Kabbalah was only studied until you're 40, because hopefully by then you have a little bit of an abstraction, a little bit of the ability to abstract. Don't worry, if you're not over 40, you're safe space. But like the point is that you need a little bit of abstraction. And part of the abstraction is to be able to take language, to take terminology, to take descriptions, and recognize that they are not meant to be taken literally. So when we talk about light and spiritual light, it doesn't mean that like in the heavens, that in the spiritual realms, there is like an actual light that is shining, that is radiant like light that we see. but rather it shares the conceptual properties that light shares. So for example, light emanates from a source of light and perfectly reflects its source. Okay, great. So the light, divine light, does the same thing. It emanates from the source and perfectly reflects the source that it emanates. Light is also marked by the fact that if the source ceases to shine, the light no longer exists instantaneously. Similarly, if the divine essence would cease to shine, the light would also cease to exist. Unlike, as we've described many times, the idea of shefa flow, if I take a cup of water, I pour it into another cup, then even if I take the original cup and throw it out, burn it, disintegrate it, blow it up, whatever, with the beard bomb, nonetheless, nothing's going to happen to the second cup that I poured the water into. That still remains because that is separate, distinct from its source. Whereas light always remains tethered to the source. If the source were to cease or were to stop or were to whatever, that inevitably and inherently and essentially and immediately affects the light that is a product of that essence. You with me so far? Okay, so those are all properties that are physical properties with light. You turn off the flashlight, the light ceases. There's no longer a beam, right? Sorry, Scotty. Who would say beam me up, Scotty? Kirk, Captain Kirk. All right. So sorry, Kirk. Well, and what was that again? What was the beam me up was what? The beam, and that's how he transported himself?
Transported.
That was a transport?
Yeah, broke down the molecules and put them back together.
As one does.
Yeah.
Waiting for that.
As still waiting.
Trust me, they have it already. Go to Roswell.
This guy has it.
Yeah. No, New Mexico.
All right, this will be the class after the class. I'm very intrigued. All right, but back to the story. So what's essence? Essence is that which does not shine, but is at the core. By definition, the core doesn't shine. If it shines, its light is not the core. You with me on that? By definition, it is what it is. So either it's radiating from, or it is that which the radiance radiates from. So either it's the source, or that which is the manifestation of the source. Either way, there's a few different things. There's essence, etzem, and gilui.
So
and
it's either a conduit or a reflector.
Right. So either it's the source with a capital S, or it's what comes out of the source, and that's a glimmer, a ray, radiance, light, gilui, revelation, whatever you want to call it. It's that which comes out, but not that which is at the core. Now, typically, creation and the entire strata of creation is privy to and in contact with light and not essence. So, for example, the angels are incredible. Angels are amazing. They're wonderful beings, spiritual beings. But what they know is divine light. They don't know divine essence. In fact, not only do they only know light and not essence, but famously, right, the famous holy, 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 kadosh, kadosh, kadosh that the angels recite. Kadosh means higher than, separate, higher than, beyond, transcendent. The angels say kadosh, kadosh, kadosh as a reflection of the fact that they perceive that whatever light they are appreciating, whatever light they're aware of, God's reality is really kadosh, 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 way beyond where they are. These are angels that apprehend, i.e., perceive, have a perception of the divine, and yet they recognize that what they're getting is only the tip of the iceberg, right? And the reality, the true reality, is way beyond. And here's the thing. Anytime something shines, again, we're using physical language, but anytime something shines, typically what shines is the light, not the essence. Kol etzem bilti miskala. There's a rule of thumb. The essence doesn't shine. What shines is the light, not the essence. The essence doesn't shine. If you see something shining and radiating, it's the light from the essence, not the essence itself. So where do you find the essence? And here's one of the most dramatic ideas in Kabbalah. You find the essence precisely in the spaces that don't shine. You with me? Where do you find the core where it doesn't shine? And we can use a human example that will it's not exactly fitting. It's not exactly matim. It's not perfectly fitting, but it will kind of like at least give a little bit of body to this idea. So it's an example I've used many times before. So imagine you have a child, and the child does something wonderful. The child does well in school, does well in the play, does well in in football, baseball, whatever they do. And you're so excited, and you give them a hug, you give them a kiss. You're very excited. Okay. So what are you excited about? Who they are, or are you excited about what they did? In that moment, what are you excited about? Are you excited about who they are as a person or what they just achieved and performed? So the answer is the second, right? Right? They just hit a home run in their Little League World Series. Amazing. Wow, you run out onto the field. You go like this with the Hank Aaron situation, right? Wasn't that the guys were doing this around third base? Also, correct. At a Fabrenga coming to Fabrenga near you. But right around third base, they go and you meet them, and oh my gosh, you're so excited. What are you enamored with in this moment? Them, essentially, or what they did? The answer is, I would like to posit, for the record, you're enamored with, you're excited about what they did, how they performed. That is light, that is not essence. Right? What they did, what someone does is not them, it's what they do. That's the light, that's not the essence. You with me on this?
Okay.
Okay. So when there's light, it's very hard to see the essence. When they hit the home run and you're excited, it's very hard to love them essentially. It's very hard to love them essentially. You don't notice the essential love in that moment. When do you notice the essential love? When do you feel the essential love? It's precisely when there's nothing shining. It's precisely when they didn't succeed, when they didn't hit the home run, when they struck out and whatever, and then you say, I love you no matter what. Unconditional love. When do you feel the unconditional love? When you don't have conditions. If you have conditions in a relationship, right? It's easy to feel in love when you feel in love. Super easy. It's harder to feel in love when you're not feeling so excited. So typically in relationships, the arc goes like the beginning of a relationship, everything's exciting. But what's exciting? The essence or the light or the revelation? Typically the revelation. Something's exciting, something's new, you're getting something, whatever it is, that's what you're excited about. When a relationship hits a point where it's where in this moment, it's not about what the other is doing for you, but now you're relating to the person themselves. Now you can begin to love them or begin to open up a relationship that can be more unconditional than conditional. It's all the same thing. Are you enamored by the light or are you accessing the core? When the light is shining, it's really hard to see beyond the light surface. It's really hard because the light is so blinding. It's so seductive. It's so attractive. And again, this is true in any relationship. I'm using a few relationship examples, whether it's, a spouse, whether it's a child, whatever it is. I'm using these relationships as an example to bring out this idea that when the light is shining, it's really hard to get past it. It's really hard to access essence when you can access light, because light is so distracting. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful. It's so captivating. It's really hard to say, clear away the light. Let's get to the essence. Where do you find the essence? It's precisely when the light is not shining. It's when you don't see the light that you can access the essence. So, which realm of reality? Which realm of reality is a realm where divine light doesn't shine openly?
Here.
Right here. So Kabbalah teaches that where can divine essence be most readily accessed? Precisely in this space where there's no light to distract us. The angels are carried away by the light. They recognize there's something beyond, but they can't relate to it because they're too filled, they're too addicted to the light. It's precisely a place in which the light doesn't shine that we can access the essence. Let's go a little bit deeper.
Nature not the light, Elohim.
So what we're suggesting is the space that doesn't overtly, that doesn't outwardly bespeak the divine source. What is light? Light means, look at where I came from. I come from God. That which says I am but light, in other words, I'm the light, I'm not the source, right? That which says that is light. But that which says, look at me, I'm the essence, that's where the light doesn't shine. Now, when you look at a tree, for most of us, what does a tree say? I have a creator or I'm a tree. This is not a knock against the tree. But everything in this world, without the lens of Kabbalah, without the lens of meditation, everything in this world says, I am. I am. I exist. That's not a knock. It's the way God created it. Above in heaven, everything says, I am but divine light. I am but a creation of God. And the angels sense that. The angels sense that they are bathed in this divine light. But because of that, it's hard to access the essence. It's hard to get to the essence when you're in a space of light. It's hard to see the stars when you're standing in Times Square. There's too much light. There's too much light pollution, spiritual light pollution, to be able to see the essence. So paradoxically, and this is one of the most incredible paradoxes of Kabbalah, where can you find and access the essence of God, the real essence that doesn't shine? Precisely in a space that doesn't shine. And where is that space? Right here. Iker Shechina B'tachtonim. The essence of God is specifically found in the lowest of spaces. Now, does God create all of creation, the entire spectrum, the entire span of existence? Of course. But what's most readily apparent in the higher realms, in the spiritual realms, is the light of God. Whereas in this plane of existence, the light of God is not readily apparent. And that gives us the opportunity to access the essence. But let's talk about what that actually means. See, here's what that means. Okay. So if you were to access the essence as opposed to the light, let's just run through the narrative. If you were to encounter divine light, what would divine light say? Divine light would say, I am but a reflection or the radiance of the source. I'm not the source, I'm a reflection of the source. If you were to encounter essence, what would essence say?
I'm the OG.
I am. I exist. Where in creation, where in the entire spectrum of existence do things say, I am? Literally saying the same script as the essence of God would say.
Hashem said to Moses,
This earth.
Right here.
here.
Right here. The tree that says I am is saying the same script as God's essence. The light always says, I was created, or I'm a reflection, right? There's something greater than me. Look beyond me, right? Even as we're getting enamored by the light says, it's not me. We're in the entire spectrum of all four worlds that Kabbalah speaks about. Atzilut, the world of emanation; Bria, the world of creation; Yitzir, the world of formation; Asiyah, the world of action. We're in the entire spectrum of existence. Do things say, I am? It's this reality. I have shared this line many times. God is an atheist. What is an atheist? An atheist is one who does not believe that there's anything beyond them. Guess who else believes that? God. God says, I am, there's nothing before me. I am, nothing created me. I am, there's nothing greater than me. I am, there's nothing higher than me. Guess who else says that? People. Right? This world says that. I am, there's nothing higher than me. Which means that the consciousness of our physical reality almost perfectly reflects the consciousness of divine essence, not divine light. Divine light always says, I have a source. Divine essence says, I am the source. This world, the narrative of this world is, Mitziusei me'atzmosei. I made myself. Literally, they have books on how to become a self-made man or woman. A self-made man. A self-made millionaire. Self-made. What does self-made mean? I created myself. Look at me, right? I made myself. Paradoxically, Kabbalah says that this we would say, not that a person that says that is the Holy Spirit, but the fact that a person can say that is reflective of the fact that what's present in that distortion, essence, not light. Yeah, David.
I was just gonna ask, so what I'm understanding is that in this realm, as you've described, people are atheists. This is the hardest realm to really understand that there is a source.
Correct.
And to be deceived that there is a source. People, this is like the age-old question, where did the tree come? Well, all these things. Well, where did that thing come? And that's the one that stumps everybody that's like glazed over.
Stumps.
But
Tree.
see what I did there? So, am I understanding?
Correct. In other words, in this world, existence says, I exist. People say that, and the things, even though they don't speak, but everything says, I'm here. And when did you get here? I don't know. I might have always been here, right? I'm not going to let you know that I come from somewhere else, right? And that's what we have that belief. So you ask the question, how is it possible that anything created by something else could ever have the audacity to say, I am? How's that possible? Like, how do you get from there? How is there not a transparency there?
They're called children.
One second. How do you not get a transparency there? To be like, well, of course you come from something else. Like, that's obvious. Light is transparent. Light says, when you see light, you know there's a source of light. You're watching a film, you know there's a projector back there. You don't believe that, like, the actors are actually running on the screen. You don't actually believe that. You know it's a projection. You know there's a light source that's projecting on the wall. So why is it that in the world, it's not obvious?
So is that where the concept of klipa comes in?
So what? Yes, but here's the big idea today. Klipa is the shell that covers reality, but here's the truth. But here's the big idea. That what is the klipa? Typically, we think it's a dark force, a negative force, an evil force that covers up the appearance of God. Today, what I'm suggesting, and again, this is daring Kabbalah Sunday, super daring Kabbalah Sunday, right? So what I'm suggesting is the following, that klipa, the shell and the darkness, is in fact only possible by God himself. God is not the light only, and the darkness is the foil to God's light. In other words, you have God as the light, and the darkness is another force, like an opposing force that's battling God. No. Hashem Echad, God is one, means, pure monotheism means that God is the light, is the darkness, but more importantly, the darkness actually bespeaks a greater source than the light. Who can create? This is, look, I feel like there's a gap here in the way I'm explaining it, but I'm gonna try it a few different ways. You have the essence, and from the essence, light radiates. So you have two different realities. Light shines, essence is. If essence were to replicate itself, not to shine, if essence were to replicate itself, what would it look like?
So
Okay, but what does that look like? Essence doesn't shine. It would be something that doesn't shine, that doesn't radiate. Something that says, I am.
I can't show you pictures.
Second. Yeah, something that doesn't shine. Something that doesn't say, I come from somewhere else. Something that says, I am because I am. If essence were to replicate itself. Not if essence were to shine. If essence were to literally clone itself, what would it look like? It would look like a thing that says, I am. I am. There's nothing greater than me, nothing beyond me, no creator.
Well, what about its twin?
One second. Hold on the twins. 1 second. It would say, I am. In the entire spectrum, in the entire span of creation of existence, the only realm in which beings say, I am, that declaration, is our physical reality. Physical reality declares, whether it declares it outwardly like human beings, or whether it declares it without saying a word like trees or whatever. Existence, physical existence declares I am. It doesn't say I am light, look at my author, right? You look at a tree, on the bark, signed by God who created it. You don't see it. In heaven, you see that this is light coming from a source. You don't see the source, you see the light, but at least you see that the light is coming from the source. In our reality, all you see is physical reality that takes itself very seriously. Where does that come from? How can that be? How can you have something that comes from something else that doesn't reflect its source? Everything should reflect its source. How is it this crazy anomaly that you have something that comes from the source that doesn't reflect, obviously and immediately, its source? How is it not transparent? The answer is only one being can pull off that trick. Only a being that only a being that is self-generated can create a being that believes that it is self-generated. The greatest testament to God's reality is the physical reality that is not a testament to God's light. I hope that made sense.
You served scrambled eggs again this morning.
1 second.
So
The greatest testament to God's reality is precisely the things that are not a testament to God's light, but rather a testament to God's essence and essential core. So where is God's essence found the most? Not in heaven. God's light is found in heaven. You can see that that is God's light. Where do you see a reflection, a taste? Where do you see the flavor of divine essence? Divine essence being that which does not shine, that which says, I am. I don't come from it, I am. Where
So
do
when
you
it says,
Here.
it says we're made in the image of God, does it mean that that's why we have the ability to say, I am, and there is no other?
That's one way to look at it. Absolutely. And so here's the big idea. The big idea is that when the soul comes down below, the soul is a being of light. The soul is one of those light beings that is emanated from God. It's like God is the source. The soul comes out of that. And the soul it is light and it knows light. The soul above in heaven is bathed in light. Like the angels, the soul and angels, they hang out in similar spaces, right? In similar hangouts, souls and angels. When the soul comes below, it finally has the opportunity to access something that is so dark, is so ego-filled, that it recognizes, I know what this is. Only God could pull this off. Only, not light, only God himself could make something so dark, so self-centered, so self-declaring or self-belief, so filled with the sense of I made myself. Only God can pull that off. The soul above encounters nothing that has that chutzpah. And because of that, all it encounters is light. When the soul comes below in a body that says, I don't know who you are, but I have always been here. Right? The body declares to the soul, oh, you want to pray to God? Why? Who's God? What are you talking about? Like, all we need is right here. The soul says, wait a second. I've just met something. I've just met a creature that is like nothing over there. Everything over there knows that it came from somewhere. Suddenly here, no one knows where they come from. Everyone thinks they made themselves. How could that be? Who could make something that thinks that they made themselves? Only God, right? Who has that consciousness also. There's nothing greater than me, can make something that believes there's nothing greater than me. We're not justifying that perception. What we're saying is this is an incredible encounter that the soul has. When the soul comes below into this body, contending with the animal soul, contending with the world that is spiritually cold and dark, the soul is given access to a greater truth, not a greater light, a greater truth, the truth of divine essence. The soul is given the opportunity to encounter beings that reflect the divine essence consciousness. And thereby, the soul is lifted and transported to a place of greater connection to God's essence, not to God's light. Now, I need to check in. Did any of this make sense?
Wait, does the soul only have that opportunity if the human it inhabits finally accepts the truth? Or
No,
does it always know the truth, even if the human
the
doesn't?
frustration of the soul in hitting a wall of the body, in hitting something that just sees itself as God. That itself, the frustration itself,
Is
before the transformation. It's a good question. Before the transformation happens, the very frustration of the soul. How is this possible? Where do you come from? What is this? Wow. The soul says, this is crazy. This is crazy. You are saying, you are reflecting the divine essence. Now, you didn't make yourself, but there's only one thing that made you. Say that. No light would ever turn its back against the essence. Only essence replicated would say, I am. It's the only thing that would say that I am is essence replicated. And so the soul sees within the body this incredible potential. And in its stubbornness, the soul is reminded of what's real, of what's really real. And the soul is moved from a place of association with light. The soul's only association is with light. It's born of light. It's surrounded by light. Its entire existence is around light and not essence. And it's only when it comes down here that it finally hits something that opens up its eyes and says, wow, so this is what the essence is like. Not that the body that says, I exist, feed me, right? Not that that is a holy declaration, but that how could this be? Where's this coming from? Wow. It encounters, it gets a taste, it gets a glimmer of divine essence. And in that moment, it's inspired to want a connection with the divine essence, not just divine light, but divine truth. Because there's a difference. Divine light means give me more light. Divine essence means I'm not even looking for the light. I'm looking for the core. And I can find it in, again, the darkest places.
And can that only happen during the
Yes.
life down here? So once
There's no other space in reality, in the entire spectrum of existence and reality, where the essence is as on display. Paradoxically, by being not on display, there's no space in which the essence is found.
So when the human dies, the soul is back in light.
Back in light. And it yearns and pines for the time that it had a chance to interact with essence. That's what it says. That's what Kabbalah says. The souls above are jealous of the souls below. It's a radical concept because it shifts radically from other spiritual paths, which say that the goal is heaven. Can't be the goal. Can't be the goal is heaven. It was already in heaven. So when we say that the Yeridas, that the descent is for an ascent, what that means is that when the soul goes back up, it will have had the experience of encountering essence. Even if it no longer has that experience, it will have gained that perception, gained that experience. And so it rises exponentially, a completely different level through its descent below.
Why does it come back thousands of times then?
Reincarnation is if it doesn't finish its job. Then there's an offshoot. Even that, it's only an offshoot. It's a branch of the soul. It's not the original soul. Yaakov, we have some online. We're gonna get to in a second. We just have some hands up here.
So the soul, which is the light, hits the physical object, the body, and the tree, and it sees something that it's confusing because it has a lot of spirit and yet it's very physical.
Correct.
And so, but that does explain, this class explains that, but it's also very transitory. So how does the soul make
What do you mean by
sense?
transitory?
Well, the body, the cells are dying and reforming every second, every 24 hours.
Go ask the body how strong it is. The body will say, oh, I'm invincible. Jerry Seinfeld has a bit. Guy's driving down the highway. He's got a mattress on top of his car, strapped with straps. But he also has the window down and he's holding onto it. What's the calculation? Just in case all of the bungee cords break at 75 miles an hour, these 3 fingers, I got it. That's the I got this, right? I got this. You got this. The body naturally, I think eventually, you know, as we age, we get a little bit more humble. The body itself gets a little bit more humble, but typically physical reality, the consciousness of physical reality is ani va'af si'od. I am. I and only I exist. That's the ego. The ego is, you know, I got to take care of number one. I got to worry about myself, right? If I'm not for myself, who am I for? And that's even in paradox, and there is a truth to that. But again, the idea here is, and I hope look, I told you there's easier ways and harder ways to explain all this stuff. Today we took the whitewater rafting. What is this, level 4? The higher level is higher, or the lower level is
5 or 6.
5 or 6? What's the highest level? Okay, so let's put this as at a 5, 4 or 5, right? 4 or 5 rapids here today. Like, this is not the easy stuff. This is the harder stuff. The harder stuff is, and again, I started, hopefully the arc makes sense. Look, there's essence, and then there's revelation, there's core, and then there's light. Light is not the core. Light shines, core doesn't shine. When you encounter something that shines, that says, look, I come from a source. Great, that's light. Essence says, I am. Nothing behind me, I am. Where in the entire spectrum of existence do you think say, I am? Right here. What that means is the only being that could create something like that is a being that likewise says, I am. How could light create this world? How could a being that says, I come from there, create something that says, I don't come from there? I don't come from anywhere. Only God, who says, I don't come from anywhere, could make something that likewise says, I don't come from anywhere. So when the soul that knows it comes from somewhere encounters a thing that says, I come from nowhere, like, wait a second. There's only one being in the world that has that consciousness. How do you have that consciousness? Where are you even getting those words from? How are you even able to articulate that? Where do you get that notion that you don't have anything that comes before you? Everything comes from somewhere. Wait a second. Does that mean that you, the being that doesn't shine, that denies the creator, the only way you could do that is because you're created by the essence of the creator himself? The soul is given access to a reflection of essence. I know that's maybe a reflection already is light, but the soul is given access to a clone of essence in its sojourn into earth. And not that the atheistic pronouncement is divine or is godly, but where can that come from if not the essence of God? And so the soul says, wow, the essence of God is found here, even in the darkness. The fact that someone can say, I don't see God. How is that possible? It's only because God creates that possibility to not see him. So it's almost like you're finding God in the absence of the light. And what are you finding? Not the light, you're finding the essence.
So I have a question, I don't know the question, but I'll get to it. So the spiritual movement, they ask for the divine light to shine through them. But what you're saying is we shouldn't ask for the divine light to shine through us, we should ask to see the essence.
Correct.
And if we're asking to see the essence, what you're suggesting is therefore there's actually more essence or a greater validation, reward in seeing the essence in darkness
Correct.
than there is in light.
Correct.
But as Jews, we don't believe hardship is a great thing like Catholics do, for example. We want good things, we want nice things, but you're suggesting, okay, you got nothing, you're living in poverty, you're living in a small, you know.
Have you ever encountered the history of our people? I know. No, you're right. We're not looking for hardship. And it's not necessarily about hardship. It's really about consciousness. It's really about recognizing that how could it be that here's a world created by God, but we don't see God? How's that possible? How can a thing not reflect its creator? How can it not be light? And the answer is because this is created not by light, it's created by God's essence. God's light created everything else until the lowest in which God at the top directly impacts this reality, which means not that we're celebrating hardship, but that we're recognizing that that which obstructs God reveals God's essence in the greatest way. When I don't see God, my meditation is the absence of God in this space is God. Only God could create the absence of the perception of God. Who else could do that? Everything else is light that reflects its creator. The only one that could create the appearance that God is not here is God.
But we have to learn to see the divine in everything.
Correct.
So you get the job,
Especially in the
you
darkness.
God, you don't get the job.
Again, I don't know that this is specifically about challenge and hardship. Now, I understand your question. I don't know that it's specifically about that. I think it's more about, it could also be. I think it's more about spiritual frustration, not necessarily, a job or this or that or other things. It's more about spiritual frustration when we're trying to connect, we're trying to feel something, we're trying to meditate and be moved, and we can't. And we realize because we're hungry or our body's getting in the way. They're like, why is it getting in the way? The frustration with the body's inertia, with the body's heaviness, as it were, getting in the way of spiritual progress. That itself can open us up. Well, what is the body? What could possibly get in the way of spirituality? Divine essence. Not spirituality, but essence, God. Not godliness, God. Godliness is like God with the last name. It's like godliness. God. Not light, but essence. So it's the frustration with the spirit, with the spiritual struggle, not the physical struggle, the spiritual struggle that opens our eyes that what constitutes the struggle, if not the very essence of God that is what creates the hiddenness. And that moves us to stop wishing for more light, but for more essence. We're not seeking more light. We're seeking connection to the core. One second, let me get to some questions here online. Dr. Maxey, jump in.
Thank you. So is it then the purpose of the soul being sent down and united with the body is to get that body, i.e. the animal soul, more integrated, to understand that not only essence, okay, my animal soul is very good at declaring I am, but is it the soul's job to let that essence come to the realization that the essence, in fact, has a source?
Yeah, or more precisely, yeah, the answer is yes, or more precisely, to educate the animal soul in the body that its notion of self-creation is only because it is created by the essence, and that realization profoundly humbles the ego and allows the ego to be transformed from a narcissistic ego into a holy ego.
Okay,
and
so then that
recognizes
way,
that its power is,
in essence, creating that lower realm for Hashem to dwell in, which is in part what we're taught in the Torah that Hashem wanted.
correct.
Okay.
In other words, it's coming to the realization through the frustration of like hitting a wall. And how is there a wall? How's there a wall in God's world? God created this. Who put up a wall? And you realize, well, the wall, there's only one being that can put up a wall to God, and that's God. No one else can block God. If you start from, we could have started this class from different places. Could have started with the question, how is it that we don't see God? Immediately. I know we can meditate and believe and whatever, but how is it that we don't look outside and see God? How's it possible?
He's right out there.
Right. You have God glasses, but for the rest of us, how do you not see God? And the answer is only because there's a wall, there's a concealment. Who can conceal God? Who is strong enough to block God? I mean, like, is anyone strong enough to block the Philadelphia defense? I'm kidding. That was a joke, right? I don't know. I'm not weighing in on the Super Bowl, but right, who is or the brotherly shove, right? Who is strong enough to get in the way of God? Who can block God? Who can say, I'm gonna hide God? Well, what is that? It's only God. Only God can hide God. Why? Because God can do anything, including hide himself. So in the actual hiddenness of the divine is an expression of the divine. I said this last week. This is the angle we took last week. It's in the hiddenness of God that there's even maybe the greatest expression of God, the ability that God has to not shine. Dr. Doman, jump in.
Hi, Rabbi. Let's see if I can articulate the sort of aha moment I had as I try to piece together what you've taught and what comes to me about who a tzaddik is, and the two thoughts that come to me are, one, the distinction between I am and I am one with essence. That's the first really profound realization. because to know that beyond I am one, is to see what it is, to see itself, Atzadi, as one with essence, and one who has always been with essence, and one who has come into this world already with that awareness, and you don't gain the knowledge of that awareness because you've always had it, and you know you've always had it.
Right. So the transformation from going to an ego expression of I am to I am one with, and my sense of I am is only a sense of I am one with. That's again, that's an affirmation of essence and not light. Good. All right. Good. David, jump in.
So I'm having an aha moment as well, but what I'm hearing is you're essentially describing, teaching us sort of how God has gone about fulfilling his purpose for creation, which is to create a world, physical existence that has man in it, and man wants a relationship with God. So how does God do that? How does God, create something that wants to have a relationship with it? And the way he does that is by forcing a quote part of him to descend away from the light, away from the oneness, so that it realizes, hey, I'm outside the oneness, but I want to connect with and have a relationship with that oneness.
Yes. Very well stated. Very well stated. That would have been maybe a more effective way of going through the narrative of today's class. The idea that imagine if you want to instill with someone a sense of connection, not with what you share with them, what you give to them, but with you yourself. How do you do that? It's almost like by sending them away to a place where there's no light. Right? If they can still find you in a place where there's no light, now that's a deeper connection. So God takes a soul that's otherwise bathed in light and says, no more light for you. Right? I'm going to put you in a place where there's no light, and I want you to find me there. And that's where the magic happens.
Maybe it's a class to itself, but where does Satan fit into this whole picture?
So Satan, very interesting. So we'll touch on this very quickly.
He does have some powers.
Well, no, not in our belief. No.
That Hashem gave him?
Who is Satan? One second. We have to be very careful with this. This is why, again, this is where the 40 comes in. Right? This is where you have to be very careful with these things. I know it's typically said, Satan, Satan, etc. In this radical approach, who is Satan? There's only oneness. Satan means that which conceals God. Who conceals God? Who obstructs God? Who opposes God? Only God can oppose himself. You can't have another force. Judaism does not believe, Kabbalah does not believe that there's a force as powerful as God, or that there's any force outside of God. The Torah says, Ein od milvado. There is none other than him. It says in Deuteronomy twice, Ein od and Ein od milvado. There's nothing else. Nothing else. If you take the Torah literally, when it says there's nothing else besides for God, how do you translate that? If it says nothing else, that means literally nothing else. All right, let's do some stuff inside. We have like 7 minutes, but you're right. It's complicated because it would seem like there's all this other stuff going on. Yeah.
So I find all this stuff very distracting, but maybe in the distractions, it's also a hint towards like who God is, because everything is multifaceted. It's very colorful, and nature is very beautiful, but everything is also, when you look at everything, it has limbs, and we have limbs, but it all goes back to a trunk, to a source. And maybe that's, God, we were saying God is multifaceted, but he's still one. But the multifacetedness, I think, is what's confusing about this world and distracting. I find it
When you say multifaceted, what do you mean by that?
Tree limbs, leaves, branches, so much diversity of reality. It's very, I find that very distracting.
There are
You know,
many-
it's lack of light. I find it very distracting.
Right.
I find it very beautiful.
So there are different meditations. There's the light meditation, and then there's the darkness meditation. The light meditation is look at the beauty of the world. And who created the beauty? God created the beauty. Can't you see it? Isn't it amazing? That's the light meditation. The darkness meditation is I don't see God. How could it be that I don't see God? Who is opposing God? Who blocked God? How do I see a cup and not God? How's it possible? Where is this coming from? Where is a cup coming from that says I am a cup? It doesn't say that, but it says that visually. It says I am a cup. It doesn't say I am God or I am godly or I was created by. It doesn't say that. It says I am a cup. How's that possible? Angels don't say I'm an angel. It says I'm an angel of God. Divine light doesn't say I'm divine. I'm light. It says I'm light of the divine. How does a cup say I'm a cup? So this is not a light meditation. This is the darkness meditation. The light meditation is, oh, look at the cup. It's so beautiful. Look at the tree. It's so beautiful. Where does it come from? It comes from God. So I could see God. I look at the tree and I see God in the tree. The darkness meditation is, how is it that I don't see God? That itself is God. The absence of is the greatest expression of God, because only God can pull off that trick. Anything can shine. Only essence cannot shine.
And blackness contains all color.
It's right. It says the dark light. So it says the dark light is the most powerful light. When you look at a flame, the white light is the furthest away from the wick. The dark light, you look at a pilot light, it's blue, it's dark. You look at a candle, right? The lowest, the hottest part of the fire is black or very, very dark blue, right? It's the black light. That's the most powerful light. The most powerful light is in the light that you can't see as light, the darkness.
So the question in the class is, why does God send a pure radiant soul then? The highest factor. So let's say we all make that crossover to we see light in everything, to the cup and everything, and we radiate pure joy and love because we see the Lord in everything. Why? Then what?
Good. So I think the message is, why did God send a soul below?
Yeah.
Remember, I said at the beginning, it's a little bit of a complicated question. There's there's what's the ultimate purpose, and then what are the side benefits? The ultimate purpose is to make a mensch out of the body and to make the world a better place. That's the ultimate reason. What's the side benefit? The side benefit is to encounter God's essence and not just God's light. That's the side benefit.
But in theory, if you do encounter God's essence last time, shouldn't your life and end?
When we achieve our purpose, we achieve our purpose. If there were more things that we were meant to discover and we didn't tap into those, it's almost like a video game, like ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Remember Super Mario Brothers? Like you have to get the coins. You go down under the tube.
I remember. They
Remember
don't
those?
remember.
Huh?
They're too old.
No,
They're too young.
everyone remembers, right? Yeah. So like you look anyway, here's the point. The point is that what if we didn't collect all the coins? Okay, so then we have a chance to do the round again on some level.
This is one of the lessons.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Now let's I want to
rescuing the princess.
yeah. Rescue the princess is part of the Kabbalistic truth of life. All right, let's jump in. This is page 66. All right, today we are taking Route 66, page 66. With all your might. You guys see that? With all your might, with all your might. Different types of divine service. One involves light, one involves essence. However, the divine service amid love of God with all your might. Oh, this is a reference to the Shema, Deuteronomy. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. That's the third level of love, which is the deepest. So he explains what that is, and it's along the lines of what we said. The divine service amid love of God with all your might is one that involves the soul's very essence and being, which transcends the revealed faculties of the soul. It's not the light of the soul, it's the essence of the soul. Similar to what we said today, we didn't speak about the soul in this context, but we spoke about God and reality in this context of light and essence. The same thing is true with the soul. The soul has two dimensions. The soul has its light and its essence. Its light is a revealed faculties of the soul, the part of the soul that is concerned about self, almost concerned about, okay, what I need, what I get, my inspiration, etc. Not what I get, but more about like inspiration. Whereas the essence of the soul is about pure connection to essence, essence to essence. Let's continue. As is known, the intellectual and emotive faculties that are vested and radiate openly within a person, i.e. the light, are only a glimmer of the soul. The primary element of the soul, however, remains on high. It is not even in an encompassing state over the soul residing in the body. So what's cool about that, and let me just elaborate on that for just a quick moment, is that our soul, so we know that everyone has a soul. Okay, cool. But here's where it gets really cool, is that there are 5 dimensions of the soul. Only the lower 3 are in our body, i.e. invested in our body. The other 2, the higher 2, certainly the highest one, is actually considered to be beyond the body, beyond our body. It's almost like it remains beyond, i.e. not affected by the goings on of our body. Page 68. Regarding this level of the soul, it is said, Chavuka udvuka bach, clings and cleaves to you, alluding to the essence of the soul that is bound to and united with the essence of the Ein Sof, its root and source. The essence of the soul is the level of Yechida, which cleaves to Yachid, the one and only God. Let's continue. When this level of soul shines forth and is revealed, one's divine service reaches a state of literal klot nefesh. Now, we read all of this a few weeks ago, but we're getting a running start to finish chapter number 3. So when this level of the soul, the essence of the soul shines forth, that moves someone to a state of klot nefesh, which means I don't want any light. I just want God. None of this is important. I just want that pure connection with God. The soul expires with the consuming and outpouring of its whole essence to the essence and being of the blessed Ein Sof, i.e. the totality of its essential being and existence is nullified. This then is the deeper meaning of loving God with all your might, b'chol me'odecha. The term me'od, which means might or a lot, intense strength, indicates that this love of God is not at all in the realm of limitation. Consequently, one's entire being is completely nullified. So a limited love has limitations. There's a limit to how far you love. Whereas if the love is unbounded, unlimited, untethered, it means that it's all the way, and all the way to what? To the divine essence. This love of God is not like the love with all your heart mentioned above. That's 3 types of love: with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. So this is not like the first love, which is with all your heart, which is restricted by the intellectual and emotive faculties of the soul. For during this love and yearning, one is still a definable something. If you love God for what you get, it's a limited type of love. Although he is in a state of yearning and longing for godliness, nevertheless, his entire being is not nullified by it. And these points are interdependent. Since the love is a limited one, he is not in a state where his entire being is completely nullified to God. Rather, he is something that exists that then loves God, but not something that is in totality completely subsumed to God. 70, and this is where we get to the new material, and we close out chapter number 3. However, one second, I realize I haven't been sharing my screen this whole time. My apologies. I had the PDF opened, and you guys online couldn't see it. All right, so here we go. Well, here's the new stuff. At least 70. We got you in on this. However, the love of God with all your might, that is the 3rd level, the highest level of love, is unrestricted. One completely departs from the boundaries and faculties of his soul. One is then, in other words, what that means is that a soul is a being, typically a being of light, and now you're getting to a state of essence. It's completely beyond the typical parameters of the soul. One is then in a state of nullification of essence. His entire existence is utterly nullified. And what that means is that the soul is completely on board with God and God's essence and doesn't want anything else. This is particularly so since the yearning generated by this type of true love is not that one desires the revelation of godliness within his soul. He's not looking, or she's not looking, the soul is not looking for more light. In truth, this yearning is of a state of complete lack of awareness of self. He does not at all sense that he is experiencing some form of yearning. You don't even have a sense of I want or I'm getting. Just as a spark is drawn involuntarily to a torch, likewise, in this state of yearning, it is as if one is drawn involuntarily to God without any choice or will whatsoever. This is the divine service in the realm of the very essence and being of the soul as it exists far beyond having any association with the body, not even in an encompassing state, which is utterly subjugated to the blessed Ein Sof. Again, this is a type of love. Of course, it's being experienced and triggered by the experience of the soul in the body, as he'll describe at the beginning of chapter 4, the next chapter. But this is hitting the part of the soul that is so deep It's not limited to the body's experience, even though it's coming through the bodily experience we discussed today, that experience of hitting a space of darkness. And this yearning is directed toward the essence and being of the blessed Ein Sof, who's far beyond having any association with the worlds. In other words, its essence, not light. Indeed, even the single thought of creation bears absolutely no relationship to him. As mentioned earlier, this is the dimension of God, not dimension, the core of God, that is far beyond anything that we can possibly fathom. As explained above, the soul's root and source is in the essence of being of the Ein Sof. It therefore has this capacity of yearning to pour itself out into the lap of its Father, totally nullifying its entire being to be absorbed into the essence and being of God. And here he's describing a love that is a love of a connection that fully transcends any sense of what I get from that connection. So there's two types of love. There's the love that you have, that you experience, that's coupled with what you get from that love. It's like, I love, this is what I get. Or the second, and this is the deeper form of love, is a love that's not about what I get, but it's about just connection. It's just pure connection, essence to essence, soul to soul, core to core. Not about what I get from that. It's not about getting. It's just about being. It's about connecting perfectly and purely. The big question is, how does a human being or a soul, whatever you want to call it, how does a human being reach that state of love where it completely transcends self-interest? It completely transcends the sense of, loving God is good for me. How is that possible? So cue up chapter 4, which we're not going to start, but I want to draw your attention to anyway, right? Chapter 4 says, look at the first line. However, in order for the light of the soul's essence to be revealed so that one may experience the aforementioned intense love and yearning of with all your might, this is specifically through the medium of the body and the animal soul, which cover and conceal the light of the godless. See that line? That opening line of chapter 4? How is the soul's love elevated to this essence state that's beyond any sense of consciousness of what I get from it, of any sort of light? How does the soul elevate it? Specifically through the darkness of the animal soul and the body, which is the most paradoxical and nonsensical thing that you could say, right? How do you transcend, how do you scale the pure parameters of love to reach this exquisite state of love that is so selfless? It's not even about you. How do you scale that? Through the body. What? That's what we explained today. What I explained today is the precursor for chapter 4. The way we get that intense state of connection to essence is precisely through encountering the things that block the essence. Not only is it the rocks and the twigs and the dam that bursts, that carries through with a greater energy, but it's also the fact that when we encounter something that is dark, that does block, as it were, the divine truth, the only conclusion we can come to, if we're being honest, is this is the greatest expression of divine truth. This is the greatest expression of divine reality, or not even expression. This is the greatest presence of divine reality. And it's in this is what inspires us to seek a greater connection, not with light, but with essence. So what's the homework for this week? In our relationships, on a very practical level, let's seek to elevate them beyond this self-interest, beyond what I get from the relationship, but rather how I get to connect in the relationship. Not about getting, it's about connecting. It's not about receiving in a traditional sense. It's about connection, pure connection. That's point number 1. Try in one moment, in one interaction, to make it not about you and what you get, but rather about pure connection with the other. And the second message is, at one moment today, this week or today, whenever it is, try this meditation, the meditation of what we spoke about today. Meditate on the fact that look at something spiritually dark, and meditate on the fact that the only possibility, the only way that this darkness can exist is only because God made it to exist in this dark way. And with that, you almost strip away the exterior and you say, I see what this is. This is but a creation of the essence that is the only one that could pull off this trick of replicating itself in a form that is, it may be distorted, but at least replicating itself in the sense of something that declares its own deification. And with that, we strip away the layers and reveal its truth that this too is a creation of God. So I know that's a complicated piece of homework, but look at the darkness through a new lens, and note what it does to your state of being, state of mind, and state of spirit. Make sense? Sort of, even if sort of, I'll take a sort of today. Diana, this is some of the deepest stuff. Okay, good. Ellen, stay with me. I'm gonna get with your question. I just want to close it out because I want to close out officially, and then we'll deal with questions. Yes, great to see everyone today. Great to see everyone today as well. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Hope you have a super Sunday. Super Sunday. Enjoy whether you're Chiefs or Eagles or whether you're not a fan of either, or whether you're going to study Torah all day. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy it. Ray is here. Ray is with us. Ray, it's great to see you. All right. Questions, comments? Thank you very much. That is very kind. Oh, a few quick announcements. Oh, a few very important announcements. This Thursday night, very important announcement. We are launching a brand new weekly series on the book of Tanya. Now, the book of Tanya is like the Bible of Chabad Hasidic philosophy, and it's going to be taught by Rabbi Tzvi Freeman, the author of Wisdom to Heal the Earth, the author of Bringing Heaven Down, Wisdom to Heal the Planet, Bring Heaven Down to Earth. He is also the author of a brand new translation and commentary on the book of Tanya that is coming out in serialized version weekly on Chabad.org. He's also chief content creator of Chabad.org. He is prolific and incredible and deep. He happens also to live here in Sandy Springs, and starting this Thursday evening, he will be teaching a class on Tanya. So look out for that information. Plan is to send out an email tomorrow.
Will it be on Zoom?
Yes, the plan is for it to be online as well. It's going to be yes, it's Tu B'Shvat, a great day to start, to get some spiritual boost. So very exciting. This new work, this new publication on Tanya, they just launched it. So it just got launched like a month or two ago, and he's going to be teaching from that new text. Everyone's going to have the chance to study it. He'll have a chance to see how it works in the wild, with people and actually teaching it. And it's going to be amazing. All right.
You're amazing.
I don't know about that. I think Torah is amazing.
No.
Kabbalah is amazing. I'm very humble. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Inspiring.
I appreciate that.
When you're struggling, say there is a mitzvah that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, or an awareness that you're in. Would you classify so you're always ashamed past that point, and you know that you've done wrong, but you just can't get over that point.
Right.
So what you're saying is like, okay, recognize that this is what kind of darkness is.
Yes.
You recognize it. What now?
So you recognize that the power inherent in the darkness is only because God made it. That itself neutralizes it on some level. It makes it less scary. It makes it less foreboding. It doesn't solve it. You're right. You still have to do the avodah. You still have to do the work. But it almost sucks the energy out of the beast. Where you recognize that it's like almost like Avraham Avinu when he was walking through the Akedah and he sees a river and it was really Satan. And he keeps on walking and almost like Kriyat Yam Suf, the water disappears. And it's almost like if I could see it. Bye, Joy. Bye, Alex. Great to see you guys. So amazing. Thank you very much.
Melody.
Thank you. Yeah, by the way, there's been a bunch that we haven't been, I've been getting a lot of people saying it got returned. The mail is a little bit wonky. So thank you. Thank you.
That way I know.
We haven't been getting mail. Most days there's no mail. The sign is down, the sign fell, remember that sign fell? That has the address in the building. Anyway, that's an aside. But anyway, to your question, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem, but it takes the scariness out of it. If you stop taking it so seriously, it stops being so serious. Like, oh no, this is really a temptation, or it's like, I know what this is. I know this is God, hiding himself, manifesting this way. And you're like, okay, fine. doesn't fix the problem, doesn't solve it, but it makes it less scary.
Looking forward, the
Like, if
connection
you
is
know-
between realizing that and actually energizing yourself.
If you know,
to
if
do
you
the
know,
right thing.
so maybe I'll use the haunted house example. I think I used it recently in class. If you know you're going into a haunted house, you might get scared, but you're less scared than if you didn't know you were in the haunted house. If you thought you were walking through a regular house and someone jumps out at you, you would like you would like get ready for like a fight, like ready to defend your life. In a haunted house, you might get scared, but it's not on that level. You know, right? At the end of the day, this is Hashem. Hashem. So yeah, I have to battle it. I have to like rip off the cover, but I know what's under it. I have to rip off the mask. I know what it is. I don't take it as a monster. I take it as the Abishah. Hashem is, and it's the most profound expression of Hashem who's able to hide.
Maybe out of this realization, you actually get content with what you're doing, even though you're doing it wrong, because you understand, like if we go to the haunted house, that it's only a haunted house, but what do you do about it?
What you do, you still have to do the work. You still have to, there's no shortcut. You still have to do the work. But it becomes easier when you know that this is not like
It just happens.
it's not a monster. It's not a monster. It's Hashem. Hashem created this. So now you work with it. It's not a shortcut, but it does. It's a frame. I think it's an important frame. Ellen, jump in.
Oh,
Pleasure.
I thought, I was thinking of this young woman, was her name Agam, who was released from last week, I believe, from Gaza. How she, we were told how she kept her faith, how she kept kosher, how she kept her connection to Hashem. And is this an example of being in a very dark place, a very horrific place?
It's a great question. It's very hard. Yeah, it's very hard to specifically comment on any one experience. And it's horrific to think about it. But look, we believe in, pure monotheism has it that nothing can exist without being powered by God. And so in the most horrific circumstances, this too is powered by God. Our job, as I just mentioned to Odette, is to rip off the mask. But if it can help with someone's faith to see through the darkness, 100%.
It
Very
also
powerful.
can, is it keeping the faith because, saying, oh, get me out of here? I have to keep the faith because I want God to get me out of here.
100%.
Or is it, this is my faith, I have this connection to God, and I am under the most abysmal circumstances, I am keeping this faith.
I think it's both. I think it's kind of like, I know that in this space I have faith that this too is, but I also know that I don't want to be here. I don't know that it's a contradiction. I think it's a little bit of both. And, we are multidimensional creatures. Even as we interface with essence, we also have the light part of ourselves, the part that wants, what's overtly good, even as we know the truth in the darkness. So I think there's both pieces, but it's certainly
is this in a practical sense what keeping the essence is all about?
Yeah, I think so.
Also, did God create Satan?
Wow. Yeah, so that was so Jeff asked that question. That's a longer conversation. Through the strict lens of monotheism, one might suggest that yes, God created Satan, but like anything that's created, the essence of it is divine. So, I mean, is it an extrinsic being, or is God flowing through everything, including Satan, meaning almost making it do what it does, which makes the concealment of Satan and that thing also an expression of God. A perverse expression, but an expression nonetheless, which is designated or designed. That's a better word. Designed to actually open us up to a greater dimension of spirituality and connection.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as Satan is basically the evil, whatever evil exists in the world at any particular time. And our ability, our fight to overcome it. I mean, this is what seems that life is about.
Yeah,
the challenges that it's a test from Hashem. That's
good. All right, I'm going to sign out because I want to say what Dr. Maxey, good to see you.
Thank you.
Wait, Dr. Maxey, I didn't forget. I still have a copy of the folder. I'm gonna send you hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna put it in the mail.
Okay, that's
From the
fine.
thing. Yeah.
That's great. And will we be hearing from somebody from the Jewish Medical Society of Georgia soon?
Yes.
Because, you know, Dr. Broadman down here, she signed on
signed up.
too. Yeah.
Yes, I saw that. So very exciting.
And
Yeah.
there's some interest
off the
down
next-
here, so please let me know.
Will do. Absolutely. Ray, great to see you as well. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Shavua Tov.